Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for, I guess, a garage gun talk and maybe a little bit of a rant because I want to talk about something I heard about today. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to work on an upgrade for my continuing project of the Mk12 Mod H. Today, I got in the mail my Geissele Super Semi-Automatic Enhanced Trigger, and even says here on the box, SOP Mod Certified. So I guess that's pretty cool. It's the closest thing you can have as a civilian to the actual full auto version of the trigger, and it's a 2-stage trigger, which I think will be a nice upgrade for this. And while I'm working on this, I wanted to talk about a story that I heard today. Now, this might surprise you. I am not subscribed to a lot of gun channels because, well, a lot of them, I don't want to say annoy me. I just don't get any information from them. I am past the point of gun content consumption that I either watch it just to get mad, because a lot of people do that. You know, you watch those legal channels and whatever the current thing is, you know. And I always joke about those people that are constantly like, shall not be infringed, the ATF can't create law, so forth stuff. And so I don't want to get mad, okay? I'll just read the news whenever I get around to it. So I don't have to have somebody, you know, giving me clickbait about it. I'm also not going to watch any of the channels that I think are just, and I hate to use the word shills, because I don't think they're actually shills, meaning they don't have any scruples or they're just trying to get views and clicks. But I don't know, like a Hickok 45. You know, I always say he's never reviewed a gun he didn't like. Now, of course, there might be one out there, but, you know, he loves every gun. And I'm not there for hero worship, where everyone's like, you got to shoot like Jerry Mitchell, like you got to go watch this person shoot. Good, they can shoot better than me. I don't claim I'm a great shot, okay? I'm just an average gun guy. But there's, you know, I'm not there to like hero worship or any of that. So I don't watch a lot of gun content, but occasionally on my feed, I will see things come across the recommended list. And sometimes I will say I do end up clicking it, okay? And I saw one today, and I think it was, and I'm not subscribed to the channel, I want to say it's Guns and Gadgets. I know some people like him, some people don't. And he was talking about another story that I think is trying to fearmonger to people regarding somebody in the Washington, D.C., Virginia area that just got charged with illegal possession of a machine gun because he had a 3D printed FRT trigger. And we all know that this has been a kind of a legal battle for a while, and the government has said, okay, FRTs are not machine guns, but this person got arrested in, I guess, Washington, D.C. And of course, when I watched the video, I have to commend, whatever his name is, that he read the entire kind of indictment and the whole story and the whole police report. And he made some very valid points about, you know, you shouldn't talk to the cops no matter what. But in the comment section of this video, of course, there were all the people screaming, shall not be infringed, the ATF can't create law. And essentially all these people saying, oh my God, they're coming after people with FRTs and 3D printers and all that kind of stuff. And they completely ignore the story of how the person got caught. And I thought to myself, this would actually be a great time to talk about FAFO. And you guys know what that stands for. F around and find out. And you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, where's he going with this? Well, my thing is, it can go in both directions. Typically, we always joke about like, you know, Antifa or weird protesters or people that do stupid stuff. But in this case, I think this was a gun owner who effed around and found out, essentially, because he 3D printed an FRT, which, by the way, I definitely think you should be allowed to. And by my criticism of him, it is not me saying that the government is in the right or that I agree with any of the laws. I just believe that you should do things in a smart way. So, for example, if you live in a jurisdiction where something is illegal, like Washington, D.C., I believe, and my recommendation is not to do that thing. Even if you believe the ATF can't create law and shall not be infringed, I agree with you. But if you openly defy that law, you might be the one that finds out the people in that jurisdiction don't care. Okay, and your whole life can be ruined. So my recommendation is probably don't do that thing, whatever that thing is. However, if you're going to do that thing, you might want to not make a big deal about it. You know what I'm saying? And we're not just talking about guns, we're talking about anything. You know, I'm in the music world, and I know a lot of people that do, you know, marijuana or smoke marijuana or whatever, use it. I don't. THC doesn't do anything for me, okay? I have no desire to acquire it, to use it for any purpose. But I have a lot of friends, and I know a lot of people that do. And my thing is, I don't care if you do it. Just don't advertise it. You know what I'm saying? Don't go out to the street corner and be like, you know, I'm going to do this right in front of the cops because it should be illegal. I agree with you. It should be legal because who cares? It's just a freaking plant, right? I don't care what you do as long as you're not hurting anybody. But you have to understand that that's not what the law is, and the consequences of your actions might come back to bite you. And in the case of this gentleman, he went to a gun range and he tried to disassemble a rented rifle and then tried to install one of his FRT triggers. Now, once again, everyone's saying, shall not be infringed, and saying how the gun range is wrong because I guess it was probably somebody at the gun range that reported the guy, okay? And I think that is a little bit uncool, but you have to understand and look at it from the gun range's perspective in that they're buying insurance for liability because they have to carry that insurance. And if something happens on premise, or this person ends up doing something very, very, very bad, okay, and you can imagine what those things are, that they're going to be held liable, and they're going to lose their business. All the people that work there are going to lose their jobs. So they had to report what they found. You know, a guy came in, tried to disassemble one of their firearms, install a device in the jurisdiction in which he lives in, which is illegal, whether or not you agree with that. And they caught him, okay? They suspended his membership, told him to leave, and so forth. And that gave the police probable cause, which I don't think that's enough for probable cause, but they got a warrant to search his apartment in Washington, D.C. And they found a bunch of FRTs, they found a bunch of ammunition, they found some firearms that aren't registered to him. That I guess now he's in a lot of trouble. And as I said, I'm not saying that I agree with the laws. I think D.C.'s gun laws are horrible. They're terrible. However, they're the laws that he chooses to live under because that person doesn't have to live in Washington, D.C. So in my opinion, he effed around and he found out. Now, I know some people are going to say, as I said, that I'm a FUD. I'm not a FUD. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to break the law, okay, or do things that you know could potentially get you in trouble, you might want to not do it in public. If you're going to build an FRT, or you're going to grow pot, if you're going to make an illegal machine gun, which, by the way, I recommend that you do none of that. I recommend that you follow the law, okay? That is the official position of Jason from the Texas Gun Vault. You should follow the law. I'm just saying that I would think that if I was going to do one of those things, I wouldn't advertise it. I wouldn't do it in public. I wouldn't do it in front of people. And I wouldn't risk things. Like, I don't know. So I don't know why people feel like we need to come to his defense. Because this is not necessarily a person that I think is going to represent the gun community well. and why people are wanting to expend political capital defending him because of shall not be infringed. I don't get it. Why are you angry? Now, if the law enforcement agencies in the District of Columbia would have just randomly searched his house without probable cause, just, hey, we're just doing we're just going to everyone's house door to door. We don't know what's going on. We're coming in anyway. Well, obviously, I would defend the person because they didn't, do anything to cause the eye of Sauron to look upon them. However, this person did. They made a poor choice. So I don't know why people are wanting to defend this person and now are all scared about FRTs. So tell me, have you guys heard about this case and what do you think about it? Because FAFO goes in multiple directions. I just don't get it. And of course, a lawyer, I guess, came out was saying stuff like, oh, now he's facing years and years in jail and so forth, and there's a legal defense fund, and I think he deserves his day in court. And I'm this is going to be another test case to see if these regulations that have been changed and these rulings, which come from other districts, might be able to help him and maybe help the fight for FRTs in the grand scheme of things. But I don't know about you. I don't want to be a test case. That's just me personally. So that's how I feel about it. So tell me, as I said, what do you think? Is this person worth defending? All right. I forgot this Geissele trigger had a slave pin, which actually helps with installation. So let's see if I can get this pin in there. Where is the Geissele pins? Oh, here it is. Perfect. All right. That's going in like it should. So, did you guys see that story? What do you guys think of it? And are you one of the people that is like, we have to defend these people at all costs? Because I don't know why everybody seems to care about these cases. Like, for example, Matt Hoover. People will say, well, the ATF said that he could sell those auto key cards. It wasn't a violation. It wasn't a machine gun. And people seem to forget that law enforcement is allowed to lie to you. You're not allowed to lie to them, but they can lie to you. And that's why you should always respectfully shut up and not say anything. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You can just say, I'm not going to answer any questions without a lawyer present. And that's it. And that is something that I do recommend to everybody. Now, I have never in my life had a negative law enforcement interaction. Not once. But of course, I don't do anything to put myself in a place where I have to deal with law enforcement. But if I ever did, I know I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to be a jerk about it. I feel like, listen, I just don't talk to cops, and that's it. But this person talked to the cops. He had something he shouldn't in that district. He openly went to a gun range, tried to take apart their own firearms. I don't know about you, but if I lent my guns to somebody and without my knowledge, they tried to modify it, I'd be pretty pissed. So I don't blame the gun range. People are saying, well, it's some FUD. I don't think it was a FUD. I think it was just them covering their own bases so they don't lose their ability to conduct business. So, and man, is this pin in here kind of tight. Hold on, let me get my pistol block. I think I need to pound the hammer pin out. Sorry, this is probably going to be loud for you guys watching. There it goes. Okay. All right, I think we're good. Normally these installs go for me kind of quick. We'll see here. The hammer is always the hardest part for me. And I know everyone has their own way of doing this. I kind of like to just manhandle it into place. If I can just get that pin started. Let's see. Got it. All right. So hopefully this is going to be a nice little upgrade to this. So there it is, the 2-stage trigger, Geissele Super Semi-Automatic Enhanced. All right, I got to put a little bit of grease on that in a minute. And then I do also have a safety selector switch that is the same that the military uses coming, but I don't have that yet. So I'm just going to put this one back in for now. Drop that in. And then put the grip on. Oh! I just dropped the spring. Where'd it go? Here it is. Dropped it again. Gotta love it. Now the detent came out. Okay. Let's take our time here. Let's be good. Because I want to do this all on the camera. There we go. And the bolt is still in there, so I should be able to just start it. Put the grip back on. And then put this back together, and I should have the whole thing, or at least the upgraded trigger. All I have left is the safety selector switch. Then I got to get the suppressor and the optic. I got to decide which way I want to go with that. All right, well there it is. And let me go get some oil real fast to put on the sear engagement surfaces. Okay. Well, that seems to be working. All right, let's pop this upper back on. And hopefully, in the comment section, you're telling me if you've heard about that story I talked about earlier. And do you agree with me that the gun community needs to stop defending people that do things the wrong way? I'm not saying that I support the government and the laws that are currently on the books. I'm just saying that if you want to fight for your Second Amendment rights, you need to do it in a smart way. If you're going to do things you shouldn't do, don't ask, don't tell. As I said, the official position of the Texas Gun Vault is follow the law and try to get the laws changed, either through political means like, voting, or through the judicial means by filing lawsuits or being part of lawsuits or donating to attorneys that are trying to get the laws changed. Woo, that is a nice trigger. Yep. Nice upgrade. Man, those Geissele triggers are so awesome. All right, so next stage of my Mk12 Mod H build is done. So tell me in the comment section, what do you guys think of Geissele triggers? And what do you think of the FAFO situation? And any other information you may have on that. So if you watched to the end of this relatively boring video, but not every video on the Texas Gun Vault 2 is going to be something fun and exciting. The word of the day is Geissele. Geissele is the word of the day because that's kind of a hard name to spell if you can't see it. So I'm not going to show it to you. You have to figure out how to spell it in the comment section. But, oh, speaking of Geissele, interesting fact. Maybe it's because I talked on this channel about the Geissele MRGG Mark I rifle. Geissele Automatics, the official YouTube channel of Geissele, is now following me here on the Texas Gun Vault 2. I don't know, it's crazy. Anyway, there you go. So tell me what you think about my Mk12 Mod H and how it's going. And I love this trigger. And once I get the safety selector switch, optic and suppressor is next. So you got the word of the day. We talked about everything. We got it. Trigger installed. So now, as always, thanks for watching.